Hello, nice to have you. Nasir El-Rufai on a 5-count amendment alleged breach of national security. Mr. El-Rufai, who was arraigned before Justice Joyce Abdul Malik of the Federal High Court, Abuja, pleaded not guilty to all the counts. When the case was called, counsel to the DSS, Oluwole Aladedoye, informed the court that the matter was fixed for the defendant to take his plea. Mr. Aladedoye, however, told the court that a further amended 5-count charge was filed on April 13th this year. The lawyer prayed the court to substitute it with the earlier 3-count charge. Responding, counsel to Mr. El-Rufai Oluwole Yamo San said he had been served with the amended charge and that he was not opposing. The judge then struck out the earlier 3-count charge. After the counts were read to the former governor, he pleaded not guilty and Mr. Aladedoye sought a 3 consecutive trial date. Mr. Yamo, however, objected to an application for 3 consecutive days for commencement of the trial. The case has been adjourned to May 18th, 19th, and 20th for hearing. The hearing of suspects linked to the Angwan Rukaba killings has been adjourned by a Plateau State High Court in Jos after the defendants requested time to get lawyers. Proceedings before Justice Gildlia Fomyong could not go on as 4 defendants told the court they had no legal representation. Lead prosecuting counsel Joel Tagven supported the request. The court adjourned the case to April 30th and ordered the suspects to be remanded in DSS custody due to ongoing investigations. In a related case, one of the suspects, Adamu Isa Alasan, appeared before Justice Jacob Longden and also asked for time to get a lawyer. The prosecutor linked the suspects to the attack that killed over 30 people. The defendants are expected to take their plea on April 30th after securing legal representation.
The proceedings for today ought to have been taken of the plea of the defendants, but could not go on owing to the fact that they were not represented by counsel. And so we had to adjourn these matters to the 30th of April to enable them to secure attendance or services of counsel of their choice. One was arraigned separately before Court 12 because the offenses, apart from being involved in the offenses before Court 9, is also involved in offenses peculiar to him. Those are offenses that were committed from 2025 to this year around Riyom, Axis, and Barkin Ladi, and Anjo South. That is why we charge him separately for those category of offenses. And then this one that we charge before Court 9 has to do with the Angwan Rukaba attacks.
Now, following the successful rescue of 15 passengers from the Otukpo-bound Benue Links bus, the military has tasked transport unions and operators on due diligence to reduce kidnapping, as they say over 90% kidnap cases are recorded on Benue roads. Force Commander Operation Wellstroke Major General Moses Gara made the call at a leadership engagement meeting with the National Union of Road Transport Workers and Benue Links, noting that victims have accused some drivers of complicity, hence the need for the meeting.
15 passengers rescued from the Makurdi-Otukpo Benue Links bus arrived at the state capital to be presented to the state government after a joint security operations and manhunt for 3 days. The driver of the bus, along with 7 other suspects, are undergoing investigations to determine what really went wrong. However, the military operation Wellstroke is not leaving anything to chance as it convenes a leadership engagement meeting with the leaders of the National Union of Road Transport Workers and Benue Links. Major General Moses Kologa. The force commander highlights the frequency of kidnapping in Benue, with over 90% of the cases involving road transportation.
And to the best of my knowledge, I can see over 90% of kidnap that has taken place in Benue State has been on the roads. Over 90% has been on the roads. We have also tried to find out from some of the freed kidnap victims, the circumstances that led to their kidnap. And I can tell you reliably that in certain instances, there have been suspicions that some drivers, their actions have been suspect.
The general manager of Benue Links disclosed that biometric data is ongoing to track drivers, stating that Benue Links vehicles are easy targets by kidnappers.
Driver capturing, once again, is going on in Benue Links. I have directed that each Benue Links driver have to come back for recapturing, because we have done that before and we are capturing them once again so that we get them. You give us the phone numbers you have used in the last 6 months if you have changed, and the ones you are currently using.
The engagement ends with a resolution to work together on security for travelers.
And so we've decided to hold this key leadership engagement with our major stakeholders, the National Union of Road Transport Workers, and also the management of Benue Links, believing that if they're able to sensitize their workers or their drivers on ethical behaviors and best practices, it will go a long way, in curbing some of these kidnappings, particularly that we witness on the highway.
The military is hoping to continue their engagements to improve the security on the roads.
The National Agricultural Land Development Authority, NALDA, has sensitized stakeholders on the need to embrace the 5,000-hectare Renewed Hope Mega Farm project situated in Ora, Ifelodun local government area of Kwara State, as a strategy to boost food security and end insecurity challenges. The 5,000-hectare Renewed Hope Mega Farm estate situated in Ora is a cluster farming system designed by the federal government to have infrastructure such as hostels, administration blocks, warehouses, gatehouses, amongst others.
As part of efforts to ensure food security and reduce banditry to the barest minimum, the federal government is embarking on cluster mega farm estates across the country, and the awareness for its establishment begins here in Ora, Ifelodun local government area of Kwara State. The Executive Secretary of the National Agricultural Land Development Authority, Mr. Cornelius Adebayo, inspects the mega farm project, which he describes as the first of its kind in the country, designed to boost food security and rural development and ultimately end insecurity. 5,000 hectares of land have been cleared, with 5 hectares allocated to each farmer.
And this land that we are standing on in Ora is going to fill that gap that a lot of nations will not be able to fill. We are producing more soya beans that for the global market and for our own consumption within Nigeria. So yes, we are able to protect our farmers better when they are in one cluster in a farm estate. We are able to deploy military, we are able to deploy the agro rangers, police, we are able to deploy our forest guards and our local hunters. And we are able to deploy technology. We can capture the entire area. We can monitor with drones. We can see when intrusion is coming and when harm is coming to our farmers. And with that, we can alert the security agencies to take action. That is what we have to move with the trend. And if we don't congregate in one place and clusterize, we cannot achieve that.
Responding, the Olora of Ora Kingdom, Oba Rilwan Yekini, lauds the mega farm initiative, which he believes will bring tremendous benefits to the participants and community at large.
I'm really excited about what's really good come to this my hometown, because these are things that we did not expect for even for a decade. I have no much to say that to thank Almighty Allah and to thank our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his great opportunity that given to our community, because this is not for only our community, it's the entire Kwara State that will benefit in it.
Meanwhile, the chairman of the Ifelodun local government area, Abdurrashid Yusuf, says the project is an answer to the insecurity challenge facing his local government.
It's a good thing that is happening at this time. Aside from all the achievement or what the solution, the problem that the project will solve has been laid down by the CEO of NADA, our heart is a direct solution to the security challenges that we're having in our local government. You know, one of the reasons why we have security challenges in Felodun is because of our land mass on government spaces. So if we take ownership of the land and we're making adequate use of it for our benefit, I guess it will reduce the number of ungoverned space, and it gradually the insecurity we have in Felodun local government will phase out gradually.
When completed, the mega farm is expected to provide jobs for thousands of indirect beneficiaries and ensure food security within the state and other nearby states.
Now, Professor of Geography Adeshola Ogididiolu is calling on the federal government to significantly scale up investments in forest development and management as a non-kinetic way to combat insecurity, poverty and unemployment across the country. Delivering the 18th inaugural lecture at the Prince Abubakar Audu University, Ayingba, titled Geographers in the Forest, Issues, Concerns and Tasks, Professor Ogididiolu warns that continuous neglect of forest resources has created ungoverned spaces that are increasingly exploited by criminal elements.
Addressing challenges of forest areas and their safe haven status for criminals is at the center of the 18th inaugural lecture of the Prince Abubakar Audu University in Kogi State, which highlights a broader ecological and economic importance of forests. The conversation begins with an address by the Vice Chancellor of the institution.
The topic of today's lecture, Geographers in the Forest, Issues, Concerns and Tasks, is both timely and profound. It speaks directly to the intersection of environmental sustainability, resource management, and human survival. In an era marked by climate change, deforestation, and ecological imbalance, the role of geographers becomes indispensable. This lecture challenges us to rethink how we engage with our natural environment and highlight the urgent need for interdisciplinary solutions to global and local environmental problems.
As Nigeria continues to confront varying security challenges, the Geographers in the Forest lecture, presented by a professor of geography, draws a nexus between forest management and insecurity.
Corruption in government offices contribute to the issue of deforestation. And therefore, one of those things that we need to do is to ensure that government brings in good policies to ensure good governance. Economic activity, which have made conversion of forest land to other alternative uses, is one of those things. I've said here in this lecture that especially in Kogi State, today people clear forests to plant cashew plantation. Is that right? Because cashew is more rewarding economically. But when we look at it, it has a lot of ecological implications on the environment.
The lecture suggests investment in modern monitoring technologies and proper management systems to limit hiding spaces for criminals.
When you plant tree, whether it's in your house or in front of your church or in front of your mosque, you are contributing to the formation of forest. I want to say here that in this country, this has been something that government has been hammering, but people don't do it. Instead of what people do is to cut down trees. Is that right? About 2 or 3 days ago, I read in the social media where in Nigeria was fined over $1 million for cutting down trees in Canada. If government is serious, we are also advocating here through this lecture that we should propose fine for people who will cut down trees.
Participants are unanimous that it's time to deploy technology and skilled manpower to identify and dislodge those who use the nation's forests as hideouts to terrorize citizens.
You're watching Newsroom series on Channels Television. Right after this break, we'll bring you more stories making rounds within the north-central region of our country. Stay with us. Welcome back. Governor Usman Ododo of Kogi State has declared a new push to transform the state into an economic powerhouse, warning that years of underdevelopment persist not because of a lack of resources, but a lack of unity and sincere leadership. Governor Ododo stated this while addressing supporters of the James Faleke Support Group in Lokoja, the state's capital. He outlined the vision anchored on infrastructure, youth inclusion, and political cohesion.
These are members of the political support group loyal to a member of the House of Representatives, Mr. James Faleke. The supporters are in the Kogi State Government House, Lokoja, to forge a collaboration with the state government to ensure the success of the All Progressives Congress in the state. They are also pledging to support the re-election of President Bola Tinubu and Governor Ododo.
Today, at the instruction of Honorable James Faleke, we have here the political foot soldiers that have come to identify openly and endorse the continuity of your people-oriented administration.
I am glad to publicly announce that Honorable Faleke has given his words, not just to give you absolute support, but to also publicly and openly endorse your re-election bid for 2027.
In his remarks, the State Commissioner for Information and Communications, Mr. Kingsley Fanwo, said Governor Ododo and Mr. Faleke are working together to deliver Kogi State to the President in 2027. He called for unity, collaboration and sustained support to enable the President and the Kogi State Governor to do more for the people.
It is good that His Excellency, the #1 citizen of Kogi State, and Honorable James Faleke are working together seamlessly for the re-emergence of Mr. President.
Governor Ododo urged party loyalists to remain active at the grassroots and mobilize support towards wards and polling units.
When people are making noise, trying to cause disunity, trying to cause crisis between and within leaders, I told myself, I said, no, this will not work again. Rather, we are supposed to show gratitude and appreciation so that Mr. President will now know that, oh, those people value what I'm doing for them.
The governor urges the people of Kogi State to unite, stay engaged, and turn the state's potentials into progress.
(1,200) Nasarawa State students have benefited from a 60 million naira scholarship project facilitated by the Speaker of the Nasarawa State House of Assembly, Danladi Jato. The students are selected from Kefi, Karu, Kokona constituency and studying in various tertiary institutions. Our correspondent Halima Gayam has this report.
Students from various tertiary institutions drawn from Kefi, Karu and Kokona constituency gather to receive education grants disbursed under the Students Fund 2026 project. The 60 million naira scholarship scheme sponsored by the Speaker of the Nasarawa State House of Assembly, Danladi Jato, is the lawmaker's contribution to the state's education to improve learning outcomes.
I decided to embark on this to assist. We cannot leave all the burden to the executive governor. Individuals must play our own parts. Those of you that applied and you have not been able to get through, just take it easy. This is not the end. It's just the beginning.
1,200 students will receive 50,000 naira each to help with tuition and upkeep.
As a student, I have a lot of challenges, but the grace of God, I'm a final year law student, 500 level student, so I have project issues on ground, and other development and faculty dues. So I will going to use the money to settle my school issues.
This money I'm going to pay my remaining school fees because I paid part of the school fees, but it was not complete. Now I will pay the school fees successfully.
God bless Mr. Speaker for finding us worthy, for helping us in our education. This is very, very good and really appreciate it. Once the money comes, I will settle my tutu fees and other things like my upkeep and other things like that.
He also distributes books to public primary schools across the constituency.
Then the next one, national campaign.
Stakeholders commend the initiative, which they describe as a timely intervention that underscores a commitment to investing in education and empowering the next generation of leaders in the state. Halima Gayem, Channels Television News.
Staying with the education sector, the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, has announced that over 8.7 million learners across Nigeria have benefited from improved learning conditions and access to infrastructural materials under its 2025 to 2031 strategic blueprint. Speaking in Abuja, the 29th quarterly meeting of UBEC management with Executive Chairman of State Universal Basic Education Board, SUBEBS, the Executive Secretary of the Commission, Aisha Garba, also disclosed that over 244,000 teachers have been trained in inclusive pedagogy and digital literacy, which marks a significant turning point in the Commission's reform efforts. She adds that sustained advocacy efforts helped unlock over 100 billion naira in previously unaccessed matching grants, with 30 states and the Federal Capital Territory now actively utilizing basic education funds.
Basic education is still the largest level of education in Nigeria, with over 47 million in the sector. So we are the champions, we are the drivers, and it's very important that our systems are aligned, that SUBEBS and UBEC work together in strengthening the delivery and ensuring that impact is felt across all states in Nigeria. In collective interventions by SUBEBS and UBEC, just within 1 year, we have already impacted over 8.7 million learners. These are students that have benefited from the instructional materials distributed, the improvement in learning conditions, the wash facilities, the furniture, as well as almost 500,000 teachers that had been trained.
Over in Niger State, where Governor Umar Bago has distributed over 100 vehicles to judges, as well as members of boards and commissions in Niger State, as part of efforts to enhance effective service delivery. The governor made the symbolic presentation of the vehicles at the government house in Minna, stating that the gesture was aimed at addressing transportation challenges faced by government officials in the discharge of their duties. He emphasized that improving mobility for key public office holders would ultimately translate into better governance and more efficient service delivery across the state.
We have been able to acquire these vehicles and many more to ease transportation to all of you as board members and head of those boards, as well as the local governments. Today will also mark another history in the development of Niger State, that high officers, ranking officers, will not be seen on Keke Napep or Okada. So please make use of these vehicles for your work and also for your family. Make us proud, maintain them. As you can see, we have 100 of them, and every other person is going to get theirs.
The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, has sealed off Paradise Estate in Life Camp Extension, Abuja, following serious allegations of consumer rights violations. The action was taken due to the estate's alleged failure to deliver housing units to buyers despite receiving full payment. The FCCPC also cited multiple public complaints and other offences as grounds for the enforcement. According to the Commission, numerous complaints had been lodged against Paradise Estate, but the management repeatedly failed to comply with regulatory directives. This non-compliance prompted the FCCPC's visitation and eventual sealing of the premises. The FCCPC reiterated its commitment to protecting consumers from unfair business practices and warned other real estate developers to adhere strictly to contractual obligations and consumer protection laws. And that's where we'll drop the anchor on this edition of Newsroom series. I'm Dominic Iriwu. Enjoy the rest of your day.